This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Chris Eubank Jr. all the way in Florida. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. I am good. I'm great, actually. I just got done doing 8 rounds of tough sparring at Roy Jones' gym. He's got a private gym on his farm here in Pensacola, Florida, and yeah, I'm training there 5-6 days a week, and I've been doing that for the last 2.5 months. It's been some of the best training of my life, so I'm happy. I'm very happy to be here.
The pandemic situation the world is in, what is the situation in Florida regarding a lockdown, if there is one? How is that over there, Chris?
Well, let's put it this way. A couple of days ago, I was on a beach in Pensacola. There was 2,000 people on there minimum, and 98% of them weren't wearing masks. I was wearing a mask. People were looking at me like I was crazy, if you can believe that. They just don't seem to care out here. I don't know if it's because there's just a lot less cases, or maybe it hasn't hit here like it's hit England. But yeah, it's very, very relaxed from what I've seen, over the last few weeks and months. Things are starting to open back up. A lot of businesses have even closed. So yeah, I've definitely had it a lot better than you guys have. Let's say that.
So what was your plan kind of before this all started happening? Were you going to come out to Florida regardless of the situation we're in anyway?
Not necessarily. I mean, so I met Roy at in Las Vegas about a week and a half before the coronavirus situation really hit and everything got locked down. He was in the corner. He was doing the corner for a friend of mine, Kevin Newman, who I've trained on and off with for years since I was a kid. And so I went to see the fight. I met him in the change room before the fight. Obviously, didn't get to say much to him because he's preparing Kevin. Then after the fight, we're back into the change room. Things obviously settled down after the fight, and I was able to just spend a couple of minutes with him and just talk to him. And yeah, I found out he had a gym here in Pensacola on his farm, and he was asking a couple of things, just about just advice, just little things that I could think of at the time. And then yeah, we kind of just went our separate ways, took a picture, and that was that. And in the back of my mind, I was like, wow, yeah, Roy Jones, it's amazing to meet him. It'd be awesome to train with him one day, but that it wasn't really a thing. It was like, oh, he's in Florida, he's probably busy or whatever. I didn't really see myself actually going down there. So yeah, I just went on about my business. I went on about my life in Las Vegas. I have great training out there. Training at Floyd's gym, great strength conditioning coaches. The food's great. I have a lot of friends out there, partying, clubs. On my time off. Yeah, I've got a great little setup. I've got my own apartment out there. I bought a place out there. So I was very comfortable. I was very I was comfortable. So I wasn't really it wasn't really in my mind, all right, I'm going to uproot all this and just go somewhere else to train. That wasn't really in my mind. And then it was I think it was a Saturday, and I was planning to go out with some friends to a club. I think there was a big performance. I think it was like 2 Chainz or one of those rappers. And my friend called me up in the morning, and he was like, yeah, the club's closed. I was like, what do you mean the club's closed? Like, by this time, coronavirus wasn't really, it hadn't hit. So, and I obviously I'd heard about it, but I was like, oh, well, it's just this thing in China, and it's not really, it hadn't affected anything yet. So I went on the website, and yet, lo and behold, it all been shut down. And then I, looked at I had a lot of things going on over the next few weeks, and I was going through all the calendar, looking at all these events and stuff like that. I was supposed to be going, and cancelled. They're not coming. They're not coming. Like, everything was just gone. So I was like, holy shit! Like, this is real. Like, this is really happening. And then I called my my trainer, Nate Vasquez, and I was like, yo, are we still training? We training Monday? And he was like, Floyd's gym's closed. They've shut it down. They're not going to open it up on Monday. I was like, wow. Like, what am I going to do? Do I go back to England? Because I can't just. Well, I could just stay in my apartment in Vegas, but if I can't train, if you can't go out and live life, then maybe I want to go back to England and be with my family and close friends and just do that. And then I thought to myself, hold on, Roy Jones, he has a private gym. I'm sure. I wonder if he'll stop training. I wonder if fighters are there and they're going to just continue training throughout this. So I called my dad and I was like, listen, I want to, I met Roy Jones a week ago, and it looks like this coronavirus is really hitting bad. They're closing everything down, and I just had this thought, like, maybe I should go out and train with Roy if that's an option. I don't know if it is. I don't know if he would want that, but maybe you can, contact him, get his number and contact him and see if that's a possibility. And he was like, yeah, that's a great idea. And he called me back a few hours later and was like, yeah, he's happy for me to come down. So I was on a plane the next day, dropped everything, got on the plane, flew out there, and I was in the gym on the Monday, and I've been here for the last 2.5 months, training every day. So it's pretty crazy how things happen.
So Chris, you're obviously currently working with Roy, but moving forward, is he going to be involved in your actual training team for future fights?
That's what it's looking like, yeah. I mean, this guy's a genius, man. Like, he really is. I'm actually upset that I've only met him now. If I'd met him when I was 20 instead of 30, it would have been crazy. But I've got him now. I'm still in my prime. I'm still, ready to learn and apply the things he's teaching. But he is a genius. He is a master. And one thing that really struck me, once I started getting into the swing of things out here, was how hands-on he is. I wasn't really expecting. I thought I'd go there, walk into the gym. Roy Jones, he's got all these guys here, and he just, all right, hit the bag for 5 minutes, and I didn't think he would spend time because he's Roy Jones Jr. He doesn't have to be doing this. I thought he had like a whole, thing going on, and he just wouldn't really spend much time. But he's on me every single day. For the few hours that I'm in the gym, he's on me for the whole time, giving me all his knowledge, telling me everything that I need to know, everything that I need to do. He is a true trainer in the truest sense of the word, more than I've ever experienced with anybody else. I'm learning a lot. Every week, he'll just say something or do something or show me something, and I'll be like, wow, like, why didn't I think of that? Or why haven't I been doing that? So I'm pretty sure that me and Roy are going to be working together for the foreseeable future now.
You can answer these two questions in one if you want, Chris. Where does this leave Nate Vasquez? And also, is Ronnie Davis still involved in your training team when you return?
Well, I haven't had the conversation with Nate. I would like him to still be a part of the team, but that's something that, obviously I'm going to speak to Roy about, and we'll figure it out. We haven't had the conversation. Ronnie, as you know, has been a part of my team for years, from the very beginning. The only trouble with Ronnie is that, I'm here in America. I'm now with Showtime, PDC, and it looks like I'm going to have to be training out here and fighting out here. So really, this is going to be my base. And Ronnie does not like to leave his house, let alone the country. It's not a place that he would really consider coming to. So that, again, it's not a conversation we've had, but it is something we're going to have to discuss and work out. Obviously I would love for Ronnie to stay on and be a part of the team. It's just finding out a way to do that, because I know he's, at his age, he can't, the whole traveling thing, he hates it. He hates getting on planes. He hates being outside of his comfort zone. He came over for the Korobov fight, but he was only there for, he came a few days before the fight and he left the next day after the fight. He wasn't there for the training camp. So it's a tough one, but, we'll figure it out.
It's been 14 or 15 months since probably the biggest win of your career in the James DeGale fight, shall we say, first of all. You may argue that for the second, but let's just pen back to last February. In that time between now and then, I know we're in a situation now where for the last 2-3 months, boxing has obviously become non-existent compared to what's going on in the world. But Chris, you've had that fight with Korobov back in December, but would you have ideally have liked that 12-month period, shall we say, between February and February to have been a bit more active off the back of that great win against James DeGale?
Absolutely. That's boxing, man. I can't control my promoter. I can't control other fighters. I can't control the boxing schedule. I want to fight 3 times a year, every year, but minimum. But it's tough, especially at this level. It's very political. You've got to have the right fights. It's got to be made at the right times. So I was only able to fight 2 times last year, and one of them wasn't a fight. It was it was 1 round. So and now we've got this with the whole coronavirus. It's annoying because these are my prime years. These are the years which I need to absolutely make the most of, because I'm 30 years old now. Once you start getting to 33, 34, 35, you start seeing that decline, It may, for some guys, it's a huge decline. For guys like me who live the life, who don't drink, who don't do drugs, who don't, who are in the gym very regularly, who don't go up and down in weight, I'll be able to be very effective at world level, up until, for a lot longer than most guys will. But still, these next few years are the prime years, so I need to be active, man. I need to be getting in the ring and fighting these big names and winning these belts. And at the moment, obviously, that is, it's hard because of the situation we're in now with the virus. And all I can do is sit and wait for the call. That's why I'm in the gym 5-6 times a day right now, because I want to be on the first bill that is available once they figure out how to restart the boxing agenda. I want to be active, so we'll see what happens.
I read some comments that you made to Sky Sports probably about 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, regarding some comments on Golovkin and also Canelo, in which you said that you believe that right now Golovkin is there for the taking. Obviously, people will still refer to a few years ago, 3 years ago, when there was a possibility of that fight happening. But you said that Canelo will still be there in years to come. So can you?
Hold on. So I read a story of like a week ago, which I've never heard before. I haven't had a conversation with my old man yet. People have been giving me shit for years about this Golovkin fall through, and that Eubank lost his pen, and all this crap, and now Eddie's come out and said that the reason that the fight fell through is because my old man last minute said, right, the contract's perfect, but just to seal the deal, Eddie, you've got to get me this painting that's on some Matchroom office wall and you've got to give me that painting, and then the fight happens. And apparently Eddie's gone to his old man, asked him to take the picture down. His old man said, "Fuck you," and the fight's gone. Now, you know, I've always been very upset that fight didn't happen. But what's even more upsetting is that people actually believed that, you know, I was responsible. Like I didn't, you know, like I bottled it. Like I didn't want the fight. I mean, Eddie's admitted now. He's admitted it. Like, you know, I was ready to go, and apparently this crazy thing happened, and you know, it's an ego thing between my old man and Barry Hearn, and that's what stopped the fight from happening. So,
but is that story which come out on, I think, was it Talk Sport? Eddie gave an interview to Talk Sport recently. To your knowledge, have you spoken to your dad about that? Is that story accurate?
I haven't spoken to him, to be honest. No, I've been out. I've been doing my thing. But you know, I just don't see any reason why Eddie would make something like that up now. It just doesn't make any sense. So there had to have been some disagreement. But whatever it was, it actually doesn't matter. The main point is, it wasn't me.
Whose fault was it, Chris? If you were to say someone was to blame for that fight between you and Golovkin not happening and Kell Brook subsequently taking that fight instead, who is to blame then? If it's not you, who is to blame?
I mean, you know, Eddie said his story. From what I understand, and what I think is more likely, is that, you know, the fight was in the process of being made. I was ready to go, but we are not yes men. Eddie loves to deal with yes men. The guys that, you know, yes sir, no sir, all right, whatever you want, sign on the dotted line. That's never been me. And, you know, as in the process of the contract being drawn up, there were things that Eddie didn't like, but he was having to swallow it, because, you know, it's a huge fight and it was going to make a lot of money. But then I heard that he was on the phone with Kell Brook, and he was kind of venting a little bit, like, oh, you know, these Eubanks they're so hard to deal with, you know, they want everything their own way, whatever. And he just off the cuff was like, you know, oh, so much easier. It's so much easier if you fought him. I wish you just fight him. Like, not really expecting, just an off the cuff thing. And you know, and Kelbert was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll fight him. And then Eddie's like, just light bulb went off. Like, all right, well, great. I can just do exactly what I want with you. Give you probably half what I was going to give Eubank, and get Golovkin over here and fight on a Matchroom Sky Sports card. And that's what happened. That's what I believe happened. But, you know, at the end of the day, it wasn't me. I was ready to go. I wanted the fight. My pen was in my bloody hand, and the fight got taken away from me.
Chris, I just want to pick up on something you just said there about, you know, there's a perception around that you and your father are difficult to deal with. We've heard Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn sound numerous times before that, to quote what you just said there, the Eubanks are impossible to deal with. Why is that? Why do we get that perception from them?
We're not impossible to deal with, because I've had 31 professional fights. So we're not impossible. We're just, again, we're not yes men. I'm not a yes man. I'm not going to sell my soul to get a fight. You know, I'm in the ring risking my life. So, you know, we want certain things. We're not going to give away all the rights and everything that promoters try and hold for themselves. We're not giving that away. You know, we want our fair share. That's all. We're not trying to take everything. We understand that, you know, there has to be some, you know, there's some give and take and some cohesion. But, you know, most fighters, and it's sad to say, most fighters, they don't know. They're not smart enough to go through a contract and see the things which are actually going to screw them into the ground. All they see is, oh, I'm getting a paycheck at the end of this. Oh, that's a nice number. I can buy a car with that. I can buy a nice little house with that. Yeah, I'll take that. No, that's not. We're smarter than that. My dad's been through all that. He's been screwed over so many times that, you know, we're not going to let it happen again. we're not stupid like that. We're smart. We have the right team, and when it comes to contracts, we get everything done right. But promoters don't, Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, they don't like that. They want guys who, yes, I'll just sign, just give me that money and I'm good. We're not like that. We're not impossible to work with because we are now with one of the top promoters on the planet in Hearn, and we're doing very good work with him. So, it is what it is, man.
So just coming back to what I was talking about, Golovkin and Canelo, obviously their situations are up in the air along with everything else in boxing. But how much of a night are you looking still at Golovkin and also Canelo, who was obviously scheduled to have been fighting Billy Joe Saunders a couple of weeks ago? We don't know whether that fight's going to happen later in the autumn. But are you keeping an eye on those two guys in particular as well?
I mean, of course. I'm a middleweight. They have the belts. I'm an interim champion at the moment. I should be a full champion. The fight with Corbo should have been for the full belt because Canelo shouldn't be holding multiple belts in different weight classes. That's not allowed. He shouldn't have a full title at middleweight. He just fought at light heavyweight against Kovalev. So I should have been fighting for the real McCoy. But politics, money, whatever it is, Canelo still has a belt at middleweight. And, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing because that enables me to call him out because I'm campaigning at middleweight and he has a belt. Golovkin also has a belt. So those are the two huge names in the sport. They have belts in my weight division. Of course I want those fights. Of course I'm going to be calling these guys names. The fight was taken from me 3 years ago, not through any fault of my own, with Golovkin. That doesn't mean that I stopped wanting to fight him. I've been wanting to fight him this whole time. So let's do it. Who else is going to be a more exciting fight at middleweight? Nobody.
Is there a possibility that you still may compete at super middle?
Yes, I'm 30 years old. Who knows? When I hit 33, 34, maybe my metabolism slows down and I have to move up. I've been fighting at super middleweight for the last 3 years. I've never been a super middleweight. I'm having to eat breakfast the day of the weigh-in. I'm eating for 24 hours straight after the weigh-in, and I'm still coming into the ring at 168, 12 stones, whereas these guys are coming in 14 stones. I was never a super middleweight, so now I'm back down on my natural weight, middleweight, 160, and that is where I'm at for right now. But in the future, if there's the right name at the right time, of course I'll move back up. I can do it. I've already proved I can do it, so I'll do it again if I have to.
If the fight between Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders is going to happen later this year, again, that's up in the air at the moment, but if it is to happen, what chance do you give Saunders in that fight, Chris?
Oh, man, I mean, Saunders he's slim to none is an understatement. I'm trying to think.
Are you just saying that because you don't like him, or this is what you genuinely think?
Listen. Me liking him as a person has absolutely nothing to do with it. Did you not watch Billy Joe Saunders' last fight?
I was at Billy Joe Saunders' last fight.
Right. So if that's how he performs against that guy, what's going to happen when he gets in against Canelo? When I say that guy, I can't even remember the guy's name. So that says a lot about his caliber and who he was and his abilities. So if he performs against him like that, what chance does he have against one of the pound for pounds? It's silly. It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't deserve the fight, and if he gets the fight, he's going to lose. And it's not going to be exciting. It's not going to be as exciting as me versus Canelo, because if I get in there with Canelo, I'm coming for him. I'm going to try and take his head off. Saunders is going to go in there and survive. He's going to dance around the ring and stink the place out like he's done so many other times. Nobody wants to see that. I sure don't want to see it. So I don't think it should happen. I think it should be a fan-friendly fight. And if the fight can't be made with me, then I think what's most likely to happen is he'll fight Golovkin again, and then I'm going to go and try and get the winner of that, and then probably fight Charlo at some point this year, depending on the schedule. My thought process at the moment is hopefully I could get maybe a warm-up fight, a tune-up fight, because I've had one round of actual fighting, over the last year and a few months. I've only had one round. That's not a great position to be in going into a world title fight. And I think this would actually be a perfect opportunity to get a tune-in fight in because, I can't fight a mega fight without a crowd. So, those big fights for belts should be done when, the coronavirus situation rectifies and is better, and they can have the crowd and the environment and sell the tickets. So until that time, I'm hoping that boxing does what the UFC is doing here in Florida right now, where they're having these fights with no crowd. And that would be a perfect opportunity for me to do something like that, get a tune-up fight. And when I say tune-up fight, I don't mean to fight in some bum. I want to fight a guy who's going to be able to, give me some rounds. I don't want another Korobov. I don't want another one round and that's it. I want to get these rounds in. I want to get these rounds in at middleweight, and then go for those titles.
So let me ask you, when earlier on in the year, probably around February sort of time, February, March kind of time, when Canelo was being linked with Murata, Callum Smith and Billy Joe, and it wasn't clear who he was going to fight on May the 2nd, were you ever approached about fighting Billy Joe around that time from Hearn or anyone?
I'm not sure. Listen, Hearn says, he's always mentioning me and Saunders. Was there an official contract drawn up? No. Does he say in interviews that he wants to make the fight? Yes, of course he does.
Yeah.
And I do want the fight, but it has to be on the right terms and it has to be at the right time. We tried to make the fight happen multiple times when he was with Warren, and it always fell through. But again, I'm at middleweight, and I'm campaigning at middleweight. So that's also another stepping stone that we would have to be figured out, because I don't want to move up to super middleweight again yet. But, at the end of the day, if there's the belt on the line and the money makes sense, I'm ready.
Do you think you'll only fight once this year, though, Chris, realistically?
I hope not. Like I said, I want to, I'm praying that they can get some type of non-crowded, no crowd event fight show going on within the next month or 2 or 3. Get a win out of that, and then maybe fight in a big fight in December or something like that. Hopefully, touch wood, pray to God, this virus thing is settled down by then, and they start letting crowds back in and opening things back up to the general public.
Certainly hope so. Chris, let me ask you, what do you make of this heavyweight, whatever's going on with the retired heavyweights all itching to come back, Mike Tyson's, Evander Holyfield's, etc. What do you make of all that?
I wouldn't like to see it, man. These guys are legends. They're icons. They are, they've done too much to then go and get in the ring at 50, 60 and, look mediocre and risk injury, real injury, because that's what you're risking when you step into the ring at that age. It's not something I really want to see, to be honest. These guys are your heroes. You grew up watching them, so you don't want to see them in that state. But who knows? I mean, Mike's looking in great shape, but that shape is great for a few seconds click on the pads. What is it going to be when you're in a fight? You know, I don't know. We'll see. Even Roy. I watch Roy every day, and he's still got it. You know, he's still got it. But you know, can you still have it over 6-12 rounds? You know, that's a whole different thing. You know, you can look good for a round or two, but pad work and hitting the bag is different when you've got another man in front of you, you know? I don't know. We'll see.
Just a couple more things before we finish, Chris. Obviously, sticking with the heavyweights, the fight in the heavyweight division we all want to see is obviously Joshua and Fury. A lot of people have their opinion about that. I know you're a huge fan of Anthony Joshua. You've obviously featured on builds alongside him, and you've always been a huge supporter. Who do you favour in that fight if that fight is to happen, which we hope it will in the next 12 months or so, Joshua and Fury?
Who do I favour? You know, it would be a great fight. It really would. You know, Joshua proved that he can adapt, that he can box, that he can be smart, that he's not a one-trick pony. I think in that fight, he proved that he is the #1 heavyweight in the world. You know, it was impressive what he did. You know, Fury's performance against Wilder, I'm not saying it wasn't impressive, but Wilder wasn't there. He wasn't what we are used to seeing. He wasn't that animal that I've seen knocking guys out. I don't know what it was. I don't know why. I don't believe all that shit about the jacket he was wearing and, you know, it being heavy. That was all such a terrible excuse to make. But he wasn't there. He wasn't there, and Fury was just too big, just way too big. But Joshua, he's not too big for Joshua. Joshua is a big boy too. So if I had to put money on it, I would put it on Joshua, just through stopping power and adaptability. I think Joshua would win.
Okay. You spoke to your dad recently, Chris?
I haven't spoken to him for a little while, just a week or two. He's been busy.
Is he still involved in your career to a certain degree?
Come on, let's not ask silly questions like that, because you know he's always going to be there. He's just.
I know he'll always be there, but he was more involved towards the start of your career than he has been towards the back end of your career.
What makes you say that?
Just what I observe. I don't know. I might be, what I'm talking might be untrue, but whatever happens, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. It just seems like your dad has been more vocal towards kind of the first half of your career and less so towards the second half so far in your career. That's what it looks like.
You know, when you're building a contender and an up-and-coming professional, you know, yeah, you have to push him. But I'm proven now, so all that talk and all that stuff that he was doing at the beginning of my career, it's not so much needed because I'm established now, so people know what I am. You know, I have my fan base, I have my hater base, and they're going to tune in. So I don't need the you know, I don't need to be pushed up so much anymore. You know, I know what I'm doing, which is why, you know, press conferences, stuff like that, I know how to handle it. You know, at the beginning, you know, it was all new to me. So, you know, I looked to my old man to show me the ropes. Now I know the ropes. But that doesn't mean to say my father isn't involved in my career, because he is. He absolutely is. It's just, you know, I have to be my own man. I have to do things. I have to walk my own path now. You know, I can't rely on other people so much. I know what I'm doing, But yeah, me and my father very close, always in contact, and he will continue to be a big part of my career.
Yeah, I think you explained that well, to be honest, because I wasn't suggesting like behind the scenes, we don't know what goes on. So I just meant from those kind of situations like press conferences and just being around in general, your dad was more visible towards the first half of your career. But I suppose as you're developing and as you're kind of maturing as a fighter and as a person, then I suppose your dad's attitude might be just kind of let him find his own way to a certain degree. Is that fair to say?
No, the way's already been found.
Mm.
So now, you know, all right, you're here now. So I don't need to tell you this and show you that. You're already doing it, type thing. You know?
Okay. Just finally, do you want to talk to me about Next Gen Speedster collection, Chris?
Next Gen. There you go, right here. Clothing line, ChrisEubankJr.com. It's all available. It's very cool gear. So if you guys want to train in something cool, then pick some stuff up.
Not a problem. Well, listen, I'm going to let you crack on with your day. Hope you keep yourself safe, Chris, you and also your family. And hopefully, yeah, we'll get a catch up soon when boxing hopefully returns sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Yeah, all the best. Stay safe. And yeah, we'll speak again soon.
Chris Eubank, Jr., thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, and we'll speak to you soon.
All right, mate.